Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica and this video is the next one in the series for the bustle gown. So we've done all the undergarments, the grand bustle, the petticoat, and this one is the underskirt. Now the fun fact about this particular one was that I actually finished the rest of the costume, except for the hat, before I did this underskirt because I wasn't sure I was going to need it. So I wanted to wait until everything else was done before I spent the time doing it. It's not that I didn't want to make it, it's just that I didn't want to put an unnecessary step into the project if it wasn't needed. It was needed, obviously, the video is here. So this video is this one. I am again using Truly Victorian. This is the 201 pattern, the 1870s underskirt. So I did this pattern on it. However, the pattern for this one has it gathered. I pleated mine, my trim instead. I like the pleated trim a little bit better. So that, and it worked better with the fabric that I used. So that is this video. This ended up being a one-day make. I was obviously very excited about that. I like to get projects done as quickly as possible while keeping the quality the same. This one ended up being very easy to do so. So let us hop right in. Okay, I have the underskirt cut out. So we have the front, side back, waistband, pocket, and ruffle. So what I'm going to do now is the same thing I did with the actual skirt for the dress, because I don't have time to hand whip all of these raw edges down under the skirt once it's put together. I'm going to take all of these over, at least for the panels, these here, over to my serger and serge each edge. So that means once it's put together, I'll be able to iron out the two serged edges because it's a thicker fabric. I don't want them both on the same side. I could sew them together and then serge it together, but I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna serge each edge individually and see you back after that. Okay, so one thing about doing what I'm doing is when you serge the seams, obviously your markings for which seam goes with which seam gets cut off when you cut them outside the fabric. So I went ahead and did the front on the fold and then these two side pieces and went ahead and sewed them together with the 1/2 inch seam allowance. That way I wouldn't lose track. And then before I go any further on this, because you can see I went ahead and did this edge of the side back on both of these, but I haven't done the back edge yet because I don't want to get the edges mixed up. And this is the one where the pocket goes. So that's what I'm going to do next. There's only going to be one pocket on my right hand side because I'm right-handed. So I've got to sew them down here and then I'll turn them and put right sides together and sew here all the way around the pocket and then down, and I'll try to show some of that process. Okay, so right sides together, the pocket is sewn on here at the seams. I've pinned it together at the seam and I'm not sewing through from this pin to this pin. I'm just using these to hold it, and then I'm going to come over here and pin all the way around here just to make sure that they don't move. I haven't really been pinning the side seams for this because it's just one long straight seam. So I'm going to come down here. Actually, you know, I'm going to unpin this and I'm going to fold that seam out. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do that here. But I'm still going to pin it. Come down here, sew around, up, down, and then down the side seam. All right, so I did that, sewed it all the way around, and I clipped the corner not into the pocket, so I did it one at a time. This one, flipped it over, did that one. Same thing over here. And then what I'm going to do now is, as best as I can, thread it under the machine. I'm going to go serge this edge here. But once that's all done, and this is ironed out, see the right side, I'll probably do some understitching as well, just to make sure that this lays flat. Ironing, and there's the pocket, and you won't see it. It's gonna face this way, because as this is the front of the skirt and the right side, and my hand will be going down there. So I'm gonna go do that, and then I will resume the serging of the edges of the skirt and sewing the long seams together, which I'm not gonna video because I just feel like it's kind of redundant to just show the sewing machine going in a straight line a lot. So I will check back after I get all of that together. As you can see here, this is what it's going to look like on the underside. I've got to go iron all these down, but I like it because this is, again, a thicker fabric, and if I sewed it and then serged them together, they would have to go both to one side or the other, and I just feel like that would be really, really bulky. So this is what I'm doing. Okay, all of the skirt panels are sewn together. The last one was the back panel, and then on the side that the pocket is not on, there is this gap that got left for closing it up and getting it on. So now, oh, and then the other thing I did was I took the serger and was fraying like absolute crazy. So I went ahead and took it back over to the serger and serged all along the bottom edge so that it would stop fraying. Okay, I got it all ironed from the inside on the seams. I still am going to go along the top of it from the right side and just iron the whole skirt. From the inside, I was just pressing the seams flat. So I got that done. I sewed down the opening, across, back stitched it across there just to reinforce that seam, and then came back up. And then as you see, I also serged the top edge that will go in the waistband because the fraying was out of control with this. And I'm going to do the ruffle next, not the waistband. So I just really didn't want to lose more of it. A couple of the, like right here and here in between these two smaller seams, I was losing fabric like crazy. So yes, did that. And ruffles next. Okay, here are the bottom pieces for what is labeled in the pattern as the ruffle. I am not actually doing a ruffle. I am going to pleat this. I think it'll look better with the striped and harsh lines that are on the actual outfit. And I really like the look of a pleated bottom. And just in case it sticks out from the bottom of the skirt, that's what I'm gonna do. So there were supposed to be 5 of these. The best way I could come up with to save fabric to cut them would have been a nightmare to only cut 1 on the fold because the fabric was doubled over. So I actually have 6, and that's fine with me. I don't know whether I will use that 6th one or not, but I have it cut out. So the next thing to do is to go around this and sew all side seams together. Right here, right sides together into one long loop. I'm probably not going to put on that 6th one quite yet until I figure out the pleat situation, just to make sure I don't sew it on and then have to seam rip later, because I'd rather just not put it on in the first place than have to seam rip it. I hate seam ripping. I am going to do with this what I did with the skirt panels, where I serge each of these these edges separately. I don't really need the markings. I know that this is the edge that goes, so I'm gonna go ahead and do all of that in one step. Okay, as with the rest of the edges, this was fraying really bad. So I went ahead and serged all of the long edges all the way down on both sides. So right now all edges are serged. Right there. Anyway, so the next thing is to, since I have it serged, I don't need to do turn and turn again. So I'm going to just fold it over about this much all the way down and stitch it down for the top hem, and then I will figure out the bottom hem. I have my pleats over there to iron and starch, but I'm going to test the starch on this first. I cut a little scrap piece here, and I have this starch mixed up that is the starch I use for my crochet projects, but there was a quantity on there for ironing. I just don't have a spray bottle, so before I do it on here, I'm gonna test it on here. So, whoops, definitely more than just a sprinkle, but you know what, it's test. That's why we're testing. So it's on. I guess if it doesn't stain this up, then we're good, because I put way too much on. Okay. Ooh, that's hot. I mean, I don't think it stained it. Trying to figure out if those are because it's still wet. Because if I have to, I can put the starch on the back side. It's definitely making it stiffer. And that's too hot to touch. But I think I see where I got it wet. Yeah. That's why I tested it. So I'm going to be doing this, but I'm going to be flipping it over and ironing from the back. Alright, so I have the pleated stuff here. I finished the starching. I think it turned out really wonderful, and these pleats are not going anywhere. So the next thing is, because it's going on top, I need to figure out the hemline of the actual skirt so that I sew it on the right spot. And to do that, I have to do the waistband. So the way this one works is it closes on the side. There's nothing for the front of it, but the back of it, this humongous piece, gets pleated up to fit your waistband measurements. So what I need to do with the waistband here is separate it. I am going to sew it on right sides together like that with some hanging off, and then pleat that back piece down to fit. And I will show some of this process, but then turn it, and then once it's turned like that, the edge will get folded in. I'll show it, and then this edge will be already, I'm going to go press it up so that it's already folded over 1/2 inch. It'll be flipped over, and then it'll be stitched down, encasing the waistband, and these ends will be in, and then I will put a hook and bar there. So that is where I am. I need to make sure that this is the right size, and then I'm going to go ahead and pin on the front and then start the pleating process for the back of the waistband. Well, here she is. Aside from some steaming or pressing, it is done, and I think that looks amazing. The starching worked really well. These pleats do not seem to be going anywhere, and I love it, and it will go with this particular dress that I'm making, as well as work as an underskirt for others that I already do have planned. If I had done the red, which was what I had originally planned for this, it would only go with this dress. And I love that this is going to go with more than one outfit. Yeah, it's so pretty. It's so simple and so pretty. I ended up not putting any trim on. I just really like it as is. I might go back and add some trim later, but for now, I like it. So, can't wait to see the whole outfit.